It is often said that living a fulfilling life can be challenging. This applies not only to women, but also to men. Personally, as a man who is taller than average, I naturally prefer women who are tall, attractive, and intelligent. While finding someone who meets the first two criteria was not difficult, finding intelligence was more challenging in our small town. In the end, I married Lisa, who was tall and beautiful, although not particularly intelligent. She came from a less privileged background, and her parents couldn't provide her with an education. I was willing to take on the responsibility of helping her with this, but Lisa had no interest in furthering her education. As a result, after our wedding, all the household responsibilities fell on my shoulders. The situation was not ideal, but it wasn't unbearable. However, everything changed one day when I received a message on my phone saying, "I'm leaving you." I'd managed to get home before Lisa left. Outside, there was an expensive car with an older man inside, angrily talking on the phone. When he saw me, he flashed a smile and showed me his middle finger. I tried to stop Lisa and asked her what was happening, but before I could get an answer, I was struck in the throat. This was a move I had learned during our dating days. I coughed and found myself sitting on the floor, while Lisa was squatting beside me, mocking me for being deceived. At that moment, I couldn't help but question my feelings for her. How could I have loved someone with such inner ugliness? Despite her outward beauty, Lisa's true nature had overshadowed and tainted her appearance. I referred to her as a witch. She proceeded to mock me, grabbing my cheeks and forcefully rubbing them. "It seems you're finally getting rid of me. I don't see any joy in your eyes," she said mockingly. I had to push her hands away from my face, as I couldn't tolerate any more of her mistreatment. Although it went against my nature to resort to physical force, I was tempted to forget my manners and at least grab a belt as a form of self-defense. Lisa continued to taunt me, threatening to file for divorce and take half of our possessions. She even suggested that she would initiate the process herself, just as Tulloch had done with his wife. "You should never leave your spouse for mistresses," I scolded my wife. However, Lisa continued to zip up her suitcase while a car horn sounded outside the window. With a satisfied smile, my wife fluttered out of our nest, leaving behind the lingering scent of expensive perfume. I didn't immediately file for divorce. Instead, her departure left me feeling depressed, and I spent most of my free time drowning my sorrows in alcohol. Each day at work, I yearned for the end of the workday so I could indulge in the bottle once again. This routine continued for 6 months until my wife finally disappeared from my sight, presumably whisked away to luxurious yachts and resorts by her lover. Slowly, my life began to improve. I met someone new, a woman who was the complete opposite of my ex-wife. As autumn arrived, the moment for revenge presented itself. Lisa's residency registration remained unchanged, and even her letters came electronically. One day, however, I stumbled upon a letter from the tax office addressed to my wife. For 3 days, it lay untouched on the nightstand. Despite contemplating reporting the letter multiple times, curiosity eventually got the better of me. The information contained within was rather enlightening. The sheet listed taxes for 2 cars and an apartment located in the city center. It seemed my assumptions about my wife's lover were incorrect. That fool had transferred all the property to my ex-wife, so they wouldn't have to divide it in the divorce. I couldn't fathom what he had been thinking or what lies his wife had spun, but his foolishness had been done, and it was time to open a second front in this war of lovebirds. Without hesitation, I discarded the letter, and the following day, I initiated divorce proceedings. I won't bore you with the details of the court battles, but it took quite some time to divide the property between my wife and me. In the end, I ended up with a car and half the money from the sale of Talia's city apartment. Lisa was left with nothing, first abandoned by Talia, and then by me. I even had to change her phone number to escape her incessant calls. Initially, she cried on the phone, then resorted to threats, and eventually descended into a spiral of curses. My new wife was not pleased with the constant harassment, and one day, she forcefully took the phone and gave my ex-wife a piece of her mind. I reminisce about these events now, because recently I encountered Lisa at the market, selling stockings. I couldn't help but think to myself, I told you to focus on your studies instead of sitting at home.